Hey whimsy friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a festive DIY that's anything but traditional. We're making vintage style Christmas ornaments using materials you wouldn't normally associate with the holidays, like red roses, brooches, and metallic paints. Trust me, these will add a touch of elegance and charm to your tree. Let's begin by dusting the IOD Brooches mold lightly with some cornstarch. This will help the air dry clay not to stick when you remove it from the mold. Here I'm just warming up the clay a little bit to get it softer before applying it into the mold. So I take a small amount. I don't want to get too much. I try to get about the right amount for each mold, so I'm not wasting too much. It is pressed into the mold firmly. You remove the excess from the edges and the top, and then you can fold that mold back to release it. You'll see me use a brayer to help apply that clay firmly and evenly into the mold. I also like to use that tool, I can't think of what it's called, to scrape off the excess from the edges. These molds have a micro rim edge that make it very easy to clean up that top and get a nice clean edge. And then, as you can see, it releases very easily. At this point, I have glued the clay castings onto a wooden ornament base that I had picked up at one of the craft stores last year. Here you can see I am cutting apart the IOD Petite Fleur inlay. This is the red, and I just thought these red roses and florals would make a beautiful Christmas ornament from an unexpected material. We wouldn't normally use this for Christmas. Next, I'm going to apply a base coat. This is Paint Couture, and I believe it is vintage linen, a lovely soft white color. I'm going to paint the entire ornament, including any edges of the wood base that's underneath this white color. This paint does include a top coat, so it creates a nice base for me to layer onto. So I decided I wanted to use a darker color around the intricate details of the outside of the brooch to create a frame. I apologize, I'm not sure what colors of Debbie's DIY paint I exactly used to create this custom mix. I believe I used Eden, Apothecary, and White Swan for that custom mix. Here I am doing a test run using the IOD inlay in the Luxe Metallic Paint Couture paint in Oyster Pearl, and it worked beautifully. That metallic paint is so beautiful. That's kind of cool. So here I continue to paint the inside of the brooch castings with the Oyster Pearl. I will also use Ballet Slipper, which is also a Paint Couture metallic paint. I feel like the Ballet Slipper is another unexpected color for a Christmas ornament, but it will pair beautifully with the red roses in the end. Now I'm applying the second coat of the oyster pearl. I give the paint inlay a little spritz and apply it to the wet paint. Then I'm using a damp wet wipe or a damp paper towel to just make sure that it's firmly applied within that wet paint. And we will let that dry. Here I'm beginning the glazing process. I'm using Paint Couture Verde Green to go around the edge of some of these brooch molds to highlight the details. This one in particular has a leaf pattern that I wanted to highlight, and I thought the green glaze would be appropriate. And yes, it turned out beautiful. After I apply the glaze, I wipe it back a little bit with a wet wipe. You can continue to add layers until you get the look you like. Okay, it's time to start releasing these inlays. So we apply a little squirt of water. We allow that to set for 30 seconds to a minute, and then we peel back to reveal the beauty. I love how these are turning out so far. That metallic paint is just gorgeous. I don't show you all my steps in this process. I do use several different glazes on the outside of the frame and even over the top of those inlays in the center. We do need to make sure those are sealed. I really liked using, well, let me start with, I took them outside and I did give them a spray with a matte finish. Just to help protect them. The inlays are water activated, so they could be reactivated if you're brushing on a product. So at this point, I have sealed them. I have added different glazes. Light brown sugar is one that I like to use to age an antique to get down in the grooves of the iodine molds. I also used a little bit of Debbie's DIY Dark and Decrepit on some that I wanted a little more, a little deeper antiquing on. I also used Paint Couture champagne glaze. It was beautiful over top of the inlays after I had done that initial sealing. The step I had just been working on was adding a crackle finish, which is a two-step process from Paint Couture. They are crackled at this point. That has dried. And now I'm applying the light brown sugar Paint Couture glaze to highlight the cracks that have been created. With the cracking product, you apply the first base coat, thinner for finer cracks, thicker for deeper cracks. I tried to apply a thinner coat. You let that dry till it's tacky, about 30 to 60 minutes. Then you apply the second coat, the second product, step 2. And you try to apply that lightly without disturbing that base layer too much, and then you just let it dry overnight and the cracks appear by magic. Then you add this antiquing glaze and it's like instant age. It's beautiful. So at this point, my paint products are all applied, they have dried, and now I'm applying ribbons to create a hanger. I loop it through the hole in the base of the ornament and just tie it in a knot at the top. And then I take 2 to 3 small loops of ribbon. This is an organza type ribbon. And then I have some embellishments from the wedding section with these jewels on them. They have 2 pieces of wire. You can wrap it around the loops, and then I use that to attach it to the top of the ornament also. The wire was very easy to work with. And here are the finished products. Another glaze I used that I didn't mention to highlight all these details is Debbie's DIY Golden Ticket. It gave a lovely golden shimmer to some of the details. This one in particular has a definite golden highlight from that golden ticket. The champagne glaze from Paint Couture gives a beautiful sheen to these ornaments also. And I love the vintage look. These would be beautiful tied onto a package as well, maybe a Christmas present or a birthday present. I think they could have different uses. So here you have it, Christmas ornaments that are festive, elegant, and totally unique. By using non-holiday materials, we've created something timeless and beautiful. If you've enjoyed this project, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your fellow DIYers. I'll see you in the next video.